Now, the greatest idea of all time. Stay tuned for
From the Trenches of Hollywood.
Here are your guru guides from the A-list to the D and everything in between. It's Ted and Craig.
Welcome to From the Trenches of Hollywood. I am Ted Davies.
Hey everybody, Craig Hall with you. Happy to be back. Thanks for joining us here from the Trenches of Hollywood. We want to get right into it, guys. Unfortunately, we only get 30 minutes, and we've got so much to talk about every single week. I feel like we run out of time every week before we get started. So what we've done is we're continuing what we were talking about last week, self-publishing. Brian made some great points, but I know that this is your realm, and there was some things that we just couldn't get into, and we have a handful of questions and comments. So I don't know where you want to start on it, right where Brian left off, or did you have something that you wanted to address right away on it?
Well, there's a couple. He was pretty much top notch on everything that he talked about. He hit the nail on the head for quite a bit of it, but I know there's going to be questions that we've got to go through. But I think that when it all boils down to it, if you want to have more control over your intellectual property and your publishing, self-publish. Do everything that we talked about in the last video. If you didn't see the video, go back, because it's a wealth of knowledge of what you can with Amazon and every other format that we can go with. But the thing that self-publishing is evolving, and that's the thing I really want to hit on. And we'll go into the questions in a second, but self-publishing is not going to be the same thing today as it is, say, 5 years from now. It's going to be even more advanced. So it's an ongoing learning process.
Yeah. So a lot of people have commented on Amazon, who've used Amazon after the show, and I'll share a couple of them with you. One of them was from Sarah, and she said she loves it. She says, I love it. I get to be creative as I wish, have total self-expression, and make some money. It's easy to use, and I just love that I can share what I love with the world so easily. So it's like Brian said, it's like you fill in, they ask you the questions, you just kind of type it in, and you're set. So, I mean, it sounds simple. And that's what Juliana said too. We have Juliana. She said, I think it's great, mostly because it's a free service and not overly complicated. So again, echoing what Brian said and you say,
right. And the reach, one of the things about, I don't know if Brian really talked about it very much. I know he said digital was his main seller because the books are, it's easy to sell digital worldwide. So the reach that you've got with companies like Amazon and that. Now, the only thing that I see that I've learned over the past is I like also to order my own books. Amazon's one avenue, but I personally have my own printer that does my work and everything else. And I think that that's a very even more so controlling thing in self-publishing.
So, wait a minute. What does that mean? You have your own. So does Amazon, do they have offer a service?
They're on demand. They're on demand.
So they will print on demand.
Correct. Which is great, which is awesome.
But another way is for you to have them already printed yourself and you do the shipping, or do you still have Amazon ship it?
No, I still do the shipping. So, I mean, it becomes a little tedious. It depends on how big you are. I just like having it. One of the things about Amazon that Brian didn't really talk about was signed copies. Signed copies are a big problem because if they're being print there, then you're going to have to intercept them somehow. My followers don't need that. If they want the signed copy, whether it's inside the book, outside the book, whatever, I can provide that service. So
that's kind of like a marketing thing, you buy the book and get a signed copy of the book. I like that. So good pointer right there for people. Was there anything else you want to cover before we just go right into the questions? Because I mean, they're all in your realm here.
The other thing is too on Amazon, and it's actually going to go in with one of the questions, I think. It's about ISBN numbers. So, I mean, we might want to talk about that first.
Okay, let's do it. Let's jump right in, because people were really interested in this, and I get it. It's like you are self-distributing sort of through the biggest company in the world, Amazon. So it's I get it. So here we go. Let's go right into this. Okay, so this is from Pamela. This is a multi-part question here, I think. She said, I wrote a novel. It's about 16,000 words, and now I'd like to do the next thing. I've checked other people's novels, and I saw things like ISBN and copyright. Please, what is ISBN, and what other things am I supposed to carry through? And at what stage should my work be edited? Secondly, how do I sell online? Thanks. Okay, so obviously the online, we've got that.
Right.
So let's go. Let's break it down. First, I mean, when do you start the copyright process?
Okay, so ISBN number is basically it's a tracking number so that you can track your IP, your information. One of the things about Amazon, and this might change in the future, I don't know, but with Amazon, from what I understand, is they will provide an ISBN number for you, which is great, but they can also suggest that they're the publisher as well. So in that, like when relationship building, like when we have a contract together, Craig, as you're developing my book, say for instance, you bought my book on Amazon. Amazon would own possibly 90%, depending on what it is, of that product. So actually, technically, I would only have, say, 10%. I'm using these numbers roughly. 10% of what our deal would be writing a script for a movie. So if it ever, yeah,
back that up. So let me
Mhm.
ask you this. That is if they assign the ISBN and you
Correct.
don't get it done yourself. And what exactly, it's a tracking number. I remember getting it for books all the time. You
Sure.
can find books this way. Sure. They all have an ISBN. So is this, how do you get it on your own? How do you?
Okay, so you go through companies. There's a couple different ways you can go. I go through Bowker, BOWKER.com. And what they do is they pretty much will let you list your book. They will submit and get the ISBN number after a pending process to check everything out to make sure that you're the owner, the name isn't being used already, so forth. Then it'll produce through it. You tell how many pages the book is, if there is any co-authors down the list, the description of the book. Is it
So
hardback, softback?
do you have to have it copywritten before you get the ISBN then? You do that process?
I don't. It depends. Some people do. Bowker's offers I think it's $75, if not more, to have it. Also a copyright, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but there is
But
an
they're a
avenue.
service. They're a service that
Correct.
you're paying.
Correct.
I mean, because you can do the copyright yourself. That is something you can do.
Absolutely.
And we need to do a show on that. When we get the attorney on, we can talk about that. It's not
Right.
super difficult. I do know that. But the ISBN, though, you have to have that to be able to sell it.
I agree. Really, you can sell it out away from that, but I'm saying that there's the control factor. You're back to, if you're going to self-publish, this is what you need to do in order to protect your rights as far as the book itself. There's two things though, an ISBN, and then there's also a barcode. The barcode is the reader, that you click on at the cash register. And that's important because ISBNs cost so much, and then the barcode costs so much for each book. So make sure that you've got that down. So for instance, in my experience, I bought, say, 100 ISBNs for X amount of dollars. Okay. So in that, they offer a deal. They might not offer that deal all the time, but they offer a set deal. You can buy 10 of them. You can buy one of them. You can buy 3. I decided to go with 100 because of the publications I'm doing.
So you get to choose what they just assign a number and you can assign it to a book then?
Correct. Correct.
So you could just have a pool of them.
Exactly.
And then you write the book for it and put it to that one. And then where do you publish this number then after that is done? Is there like a world database of ISBNs, or what is, how does that
Library
work?
of Congress? There's a lot of things you do. Once you go through the barcode, you purchase the barcode in addition to that, because every ISBN for one book, if you have a softcover book, a hardcover book, a trade paperback, whatever, each one of these have to have ISBNs, and each one of them should have a barcode. So it's easy for your vendors to sell your wares. A lot easier for them to scan everything. And the Library of Congress is involved. I think that you can also submit directly to the Library of Congress. But the ISBN number is universal. It'll go through, and there's different things for different countries too. You've got to be aware of that. And that's where digital comes into play. You don't need to have a barcode for digital. So you keep that in mind when you're looking at that. It's a lot to learn. It's a lot to learn.
Well, I think that I could be wrong on this. This is a clarification, but if you do get your work copywritten, then it is when it's assigned a copyright number, it becomes a part of the Library of Congress.
Yes, I think you're correct.
It goes into the file then. So copywriting is very important, Pamela. I think as soon as you get your draft done, and editing should be happening immediately after the first draft, if not while you're working on it.
Yes.
That's just it's always going to be the thing. And once you think that you've got to the very end, there are services out there. Like Brian was talking about this as well, and it's always about finding a really good editor. And there are groups you can come to us. There are groups on Facebook and on Reddit and all over the place. I'm sure there are Discords as well that you can find, and they're going to be able to point you to some people or services. And some folks are want to do it because they're good at it and they're trying to build a repertoire, a career in it. So there's that out there as well. So yes, Pamela.
But protect your idea though. That's the other thing. That's the big thing.
Getting that copyright is always important. So I hope that we laid that out for you. They're all important. Get on them all. So let's the ISBN, you always see the ISBN. Okay, here we go. This one. No, it starts off like this. No question's a dumb question. So this may sound like a dumb question, but does your published book have to be set up for reviews? I have a toxic person in my past who loves to tear me down. I can see him trying to ruin me and my book with vicious, untruthful reviews. I blocked him on social media. If he hears I published my book, it's in his character to find it on Amazon and trash it. Yeah, okay. So, look, what do you say to that?
Well, you being in the movie industry, you know this. Bad reviews don't mean anything in some cases. I've had some great experiences at movies with terrible reviews.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's art. It's subject. And if a person's going to be that way and tear you down, you've already blocked them on social media. You've done everything proactive that you can. And, for every one that's bad, there's probably 10 that are good. So keep that in mind. Don't put your attention towards that. Put it towards the people that are benefiting you, and helping you.
Can't you address reviews on Amazon? Do they allow that? Because I know you can on Yelp. I've seen that where business owners will someone will tear the business apart and they'll come on and say, "Hey, I'm sorry that this happened," or "I'm not exactly sure what went down, but this." Okay. So that's a great avenue. Then you can let them know that the situation as much as you want, I guess.
And some of the way that things are written, if somebody's spiteful, it in the review, you can tell. And I think that your audience should be aware of that. And I think that they'll understand that.
In this day and age, for sure. In the age of Yelp and everyone reviewing everything, because you'll see, and you can, and most places you have to have a profile to leave a review.
Correct.
So, and you can look it up and see what other reviews they've left. So if they've left one review and it's this, or if every review they leave is negative, you can't trust those.
Yeah. It says more about them than it does about your creation.
Exactly. I love it when people give the good reviews. Credit where credit's due. Even on Yelp, a shout out to this restaurant. It was great, or the person was great, or this or that. Come on.
Right.
That's okay. So there you go. You've got to, and you want the reviews, right? I mean, that's marketing. So you want them.
Yeah.
So a couple. Here's another comment here. It's a question. This is kind of drifting out of the online. Let's wrap up the online here quick though. Because we did get a couple of comments after the last show. We asked, what do you think? What are your experiences? Sarah sent us a note. She says, I love it. Talking about Amazon. She said, I got to be as creative as I wish. I have total self-expression. I make some money. It's easy to use. So didn't I already talk about these?
And that's terrific. As long as if Hollywood starts knocking at the door, you've got your ISBN number that you could put on your Amazon book. And that's the key, because I want you to be making the money on the publishing side of it. I want you to make that's the key. When you look at that, just be careful. That's all. Make sure that you really because they'll offer you an ISBN for free, I think. And it's fine, but understand the laws and understand the rules to it. you know.
So it sounds like you're assigning rights or something if you accept this from some other party. If they own this ISBN, then they're claiming
And again,
publication rights.
and I'm not an attorney, but I know that there's avenues that could be misleading. So make sure that you're aware of it. There's a definite benefit with Amazon. Worldwide distribution, fantastic. The other thing is worldwide distribution. That can be kind of a give or take. I've had some instances where I've seen things delivered they shouldn't have been delivered the way that they were. But all in all, it's been a great experience with Amazon. So.
Okay, so there it is. Everyone seems to like Amazon, and it's simple. You say it'll probably be different in 5 years, which I agree. I mean, who will be the next big publisher? And they're not the only one as well. I know that Brian said there are a few others now that you can self-publish through, and it looks like that a lot of people serialize their books as well through blogs, and there's so many places to be able to publish blogs. So a lot of ways to get it out there digitally. But we did get two questions actually, from people who have, I don't know if they've published theirs digitally or not. But the first one is they're dealing with publishing companies. So now, what's the difference between a publishing company and a publisher? Is there a difference?
Well, there's vanity publishing, which is a process we can go a little bit further into, and then you got traditional publishing, where Collins or whoever calls you and says, "Hey, we love your book. We want to sign you." Vanity publishing is more like, "Hey, we can put your book out there. It's going to cost you X amount of money, but we can get a book together for you."
Yeah, so that just falls right into these two questions. They were very similar. We got one. They were both anonymous. One was, I have a question. Do I need to pay a publishing company up front? I don't want to get scammed. So that would be if you are paying. Yes, if you're paying the company to put your book out, and that's the understanding. Not that you think that they were like, oh, we love your book and we're going to put it out for you, but you've got to pay. This is how it works. That's not how it works.
Correct.
It's not a pay-to-play situation when you're dealing with a reputable known book publisher, and that's what they do is put out material. They'll make a deal with you. It may be good, might be bad. You might get an advance to do a second book. That's what you hope for.
And you're looking for distribution channels with traditional publishing. That's the key. When you're vanity publishing, they might offer you all these things a la carte, but it's out of pocket for you. You might as well be self-publishing at that point, and save your money.
So that leads me into this part of it. We barely got into the marketing side of it. And so we wanted to pick your brain a little bit, because that was one of the questions. We've got a little comment as well, talking about how they love Amazon publishing, but it is on them to get it marketed. So what Brian talked about, just doing interviews and things like that, which is great, but trade shows, if you're writing in a specific genre, I guess, maybe, or do they have book? I know there's book shows fairs all the time. Sure. What's it take to be a part of one of those? Have you been a part of anything like that?
Oh yeah. So I mean, you can go. Well, first off, the first thing you've got to do, you've got to get a presence. You've got to build a brand. You've got to find your niche. That's a huge part of all of this, and that's talking, this podcasting, that's YouTubing, that's becoming an influencer, if you want to call it that. You need to do that. So, of course, go to different shows. They offer book shows are across the country. COVID's had a little bit of a kick in the pants for all that, but they've done things online now. Things are happening to where you can do so many shows. If you're a comic creator, Comic-Cons, obviously, everything from libraries to, I don't necessarily go into craft shows, but that depends on your book. I mean, I don't know what you're writing about. If you're writing, you go towards your genre. If it's going to be a fiction or a science fiction event, or a book, then go to a science fiction event. Really market towards the niche that you think is going to work for you. I mean, your client base, once you build a brand and you got followers and you got people that are becoming clients now, they're repeat customers, you'll know who your base is, and work towards it. Build it.
Yeah, it's self-marketing is really important. If you're self-publishing, means that you don't have the big corporation, the machine behind you with the publicists and the ad copy going out and
Right.
the ads in the New York Times and the pushing to get on bestseller lists. I mean, that's the big thing. It's like
Huge thing. Yeah.
And I wonder, I don't even know. This would be an interesting question. What does it take now to be on the bestseller list? What kind of units are we talking about? It's a combination of everything, right? It's a combination of digital downloads and
audio, everything. Yep.
So I don't even know what those numbers are.
I can't imagine. It's probably got to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of copies. It's got to be.
Or a million, I would think, right?
Well, I think eventually,
maybe.
yeah, eventually.
But I just don't know how many books sell in a week. That's an interesting question. I could Google this, but I'm not going to. You don't have to send me a message and say Google it. All right, I got you. But you can send us messages, folks.
Right.
You know,
and there's
social media.
There's so many avenues for production now, whether it's digital or audio or traditional books, whatever. I mean, there's so many ways to digest it all. It's got to be a daunting task to even calculate, where you need to be and such, how many downloads you've had, how many videos you're on or whatever. It's got to be crazy. But yeah.
So let's get back to Amazon and something like that. So everyone says it's easy to get it up, easy to work with. I guess they provide all the data, so you know what's going on with your book. Because I know that Brian talked about his AdWords campaigns, and he was able to target specific audiences based on running the first campaign. Really revealed a lot to him about who his audience was. So Amazon, does it give any kind of data like that as well on who's buying the book?
It must. I'm not on Amazon with my books. From what I've been seeing, though, is I think that the analytics are pretty thorough. I don't know if you have to pay for extra detail, but I think that that's pretty normal, what they offer, because you have to have some direction. You can't just put it up online and hope for the best. You've got to have some type of direction on your sales and everything else. There's got to be.
So listen to this, folks. Again, I'm going to leave the show with a question unanswered. Can't even answer. I can't answer my questions. How am I going to answer yours? This is not my realm, though. So you guys know that. But I love it. I'm learning so much. Really, I've learned a lot from you, from Brian, from our listeners. The questions we get. We also get comments, and they're telling me what to do. Sometimes I can
how to do it.
Them.
Yeah.
But they're great. Someday I'll read all of those. That'll be a whole show.
Yeah, that'll be good.
The not so friendly comments. Hey, everyone's got haters, I guess. Well, this is good stuff. I hope we answered everyone's questions. If you have questions, send them in. You've got our handles here. This is Craig Hollywood at Twitter for me, TedDaviesArtistry.com, and you can find him everywhere as well through Ted Davies Artistry. And of course, there you go, Facebook, From the Trenches of Hollywood, and Instagram, Hollywood Trenches. So send us your comments, your questions, your experiences. Tell us what you're working on. We want to pick up that ball here again soon. We started a handful of shows ago, kind of just plotting out how we write and what people's processes are. I've got a few questions on that. I want to hear some updates.
See what it's all about.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a story. Start writing.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was good stuff. Next week, we're going to move out of publishing. We're going to move back into entertainment side a little bit more, and we got a bunch of guests coming up over the next few weeks. Hope you guys tune in and follow us on our social media and our YouTube channel, subscribe, all that good stuff. That's all we got. We're out of time. What do you got left today?
I got to write. I don't know about you, but I'm writing.
Sounds good. Me too. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Have a great weekend, and right away.
Much success, guys. Have a good day. Thanks.